Okay. Have Rosh Hashana, and we are starting on Dalet Aleph. When the Rosh Hashanah festival fell on the Sabbath, they would blow the shofar in the temple, but not in the province. After the temple was destroyed, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai instituted that they would blow the shofar in every place where there is a Bezdin. Rabbi Elazar said Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai instituted this regulation for Yavna only. They said to him, Yavna and any other place where there is a Bezdin. In this matter, too, Yerushalayim was superior to Yavner in that any town which could see Yerushalayim could hear and is near to Jerusalem and can come to Yerushalayim on Shabbos may blow the shofar on Shabbos, whereas in Yavner they blew it only before the Beis Din. Originally, the lulav was taken in the temple all 7 days of Sukkot, and in the province, the lulav was taken only one day. After the temple was destroyed, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai instituted the lulav be taken in the provinces for 7 days in remembrance of the temple, and that the entire day of waving the omer should be forbidden. Okay.
Okay, Barishana. You makablin Eidus HaChodesh Kol Hayom. So it used to be that they would take the Eidus HaChodesh all day on of the 30th day of the month, because even if witnesses come at the end of the day, you can still close to sunset and say that they saw that they saw the moon. The Beis Din could be Makadish the 30th day and retroactively make it Rosh Chodesh, even though the day is almost finished. Okay. Um, so according to most of the Mefarshim, this Mishnah over here is actually talking about the specific edge case of Rosh Hashanah,
Mhm.
right? Because Rosh Hashanah, of course, is also Rosh Chodesh, but it's unique in that it's also Yom Tov. So if even in Yerushalayim, in the days when we were declaring the Chodesh, comes the 30th day of Elul, and we've got it, already nightfall. You don't know if the Eidim are going to come tonight, are going to come tomorrow or not. But everyone's got to keep Yom Tov Misafek because it might turn out Lemafreya that this day is Rosh Hashanah. And if the witnesses come, then great, you keep one day of Rosh Hashanah. And if they don't come, then you're keeping 2 days of Rosh Hashanah. So Pa'amachas nishtahu ha'edim milavo. It happened once that the Edim took a long time to come. V'niskal kalu ha'leviim bashir, and the Leviim got messed up in the Shir Shal Yom. Right, normally they say the Shir Shal Yom in the Tamid of the morning. That's an interesting question because like Rosh Chodesh. For Rosh Chodesh, you have to bring a special korban also. Okay, and for Rosh Hashanah, you also have to bring a special korban. There's a special musaf for Rosh Hashanah, and um the biggest complaint that the Mishnah over here is that the Levium said the wrong Shir Shal Yom. Because the Adim came late in the day, and it was so the commentary over here, Kahati makes the point. "V'chein b'shasa kravasa tamid shel bein harbayim." Oh, so even in the afternoon, the Levim would also say a shir shal yom, um, and that would have been a special shir shal yom for Rosh Hashanah. But as long as the Adim haven't come, they would just say the regular shir shal yom of Chol. Okay. Um, Um, so after they brought the Tamid of Bein Harbaim, the afternoon Tamid,
Right.
if the Eidim of the Eidei Chodesh came and the Beis Din already said that this is now the Rosh Chodesh, in other words, therefore it is now Rosh Hashanah, um, the Levium would say the Shir Shal Yom of Rosh Hashanah, but there's one time that they came so late that it was past the time of the Tamid of Bein Arbaim, and the Levium didn't know which Shir to say, if they should say the Shir of Yom Tov or the Shir of Chol, and so that's what got messed up over here. It just amazes me that we're having this discussion about the Shir Shal Yom as opposed to
Right.
what about the Musaf? you've got to, and this would apply also to Rosh Chodesh, never mind Rosh Hashana. You've got a special musaf that you're supposed to bring, and if the Eidim come like right at the end of the day and there's no time to bring the Korban musaf, then that really messes you up. So anyway,
because
Tachlis, huh?
because of the confusion of whether it's 1 day or 2 days,
No,
which
no, no,
day.
no. There's no 2 days.
No, I know
In
it's
that
agreed. It's
Torah,
one day.
there's
It's
no
one
two
long
days
day.
of Rosh Hashanah. There's only one day of Rosh Hashanah.
Right, but because of the confusion as to, I think because of the confusion of Rosh Chodesh on that day, that's why they kept the 2 days for the outside of Eretz.
Yes.
I mean,
So in
also,
terms of in terms of all of the negative commandments, also, I mean, you got like the night before, you got to make kiddush, and kiddush is a derabanan on the Yom Tov. But nonetheless, the night before, on that could be the 30th of Elul, you got to, like the Maaseh, what's going to happen in Yerushalayim? You're going to keep, you're not sure if the Edom have come or not, if they're going to come tomorrow or not. So do you make Kiddush Misafek? Unless maybe Kiddush for Yom Tov was instituted later, which is also a possibility, I guess.
right, right.
Um, but everyone's going to have to be not doing Malacha Misafek. Um, and then comes and blowing the shofar misafek.
Yeah.
This
It's
is
interesting that when you think about it, all the other Yom Tovim are 2 days outside of Eretz Israel
yeah.
because they weren't sure or
Well, that's the reason why Rosh Hashanah now is 2 days even in Eretz Israel,
right,
because there's no way that you can get the news out even to Eretz Israel of when you've made a Kiddush HaChodesh.
right. Yeah.
Mm. So anyway, it's just an interesting question. Anyway, Tachlis, Hiskenu shelo yehu mekablin ela ada mincha. uh, until ad mincha, which means until the time of the bringing of the korban tamid of the afternoon. So after the afternoon tamid has been brought, it's over. We're not going to allow any witnesses to come, and it'll just be that the next day will be Rosh Hashanah. Okay. ואם באו עדים מן המנחה ולמעלה, נוהגים also היום קודש ולמחר קודש. And if witnesses did come from Mincha and afterwards, then they would keep today and tomorrow as Kodesh. In other words, says Kahati Shayu Ma'abrim es Elul, they would make Elul a full 30-day month and fix Rosh Chodesh of Tishrei tomorrow. But in any case, they had to keep the whole day they had to keep the rest of the 30th day of Elul with Kedushas Achag. In other words, just like they did before with from
Right.
Misafek before the Adim came, so that they shouldn't come to be Mizalzel this day and make it and start doing Malacha. Because remember this again, here's your situation. We've got to like forget the way we keep Rosh Hashanah, that it's a fixed day in the calendar. We're now comes end of 29th day of Elul, and tonight is potentially Rosh Hashanah. So now we've got to start, treating the whole day as Yom Tov Misafek.
Uh-huh.
So it comes the next day, and we've already had this so that we keep the whole day up until Mincha time as Yom Tov Misafek, and even we'll blow shofar just in case that today turns out to be Yom Tov. Okay, and then comes the afternoon tamid, and it turns out no witnesses had come from until then. So the people are going to say, they haven't declared Rosh Chodesh. Okay, so it turns out today wasn't really Rosh Hashanah after all. So they all go back to doing Malacha and preparing for Yom to the next day. And the Chachamim said, no, 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 no. You keep the rest of this day as Yom Tov as well. We're not going to be Mazalzal because so that it doesn't come to this thing where the next year people remember, oh,
Right.
we didn't really keep a proper Yom Tov Rishon. Okay, so it stays so that stays in place, and that's more um, that's actually more accurate than saying it's because the messengers couldn't get out in time.
Right.
The fact is they had to keep Rosh Hashanah first day because the witnesses could only come the next day anyway. So the whole first night, everyone has to keep Yom Tov anyway, and even if the witnesses don't come, we still keep the first day as a full Yom Tov
Right.
that do not mezalzel, and then the second day we know is Yom Tov. The only thing that would happen is if the witnesses come earlier, then the next day is not Yom Tov.
That would be interesting.
Anyway, anyway, it's an interesting way to think because like we're like so used to having a fixed calendar where it's 2 days Yom Tov, Rosh Hashana, and whatever. But the reality is that this is how things would be in the times of the temple when we had a Kiddush HaChodesh. Um. Anyway, Amar Rabbi Yoshua ben Korcha. Rabbi Yoshua ben Korcha is the son of Rabbi Akiva.
Mhm.
Okay. Ad ve'od zos hiskin Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai. And there was another thing that Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai. Oh wait, sorry, did I skip something here?
Is that am I supposed to be saying this now?
No, 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 this is me. This is me. Yishachar beis hamikdash hiskin Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai she'ihu mekablin edus chodesh kol hayom. Sorry, I missed that sentence over there. Um, So after the temple was destroyed, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai established that we should accept Kiddush HaChodesh all day long, because now there's no problem with messing up the korbanos or the Shir Shal Yom. Because there is no Shir Shal Yom, but we're still
Mhm.
accepting Kiddush HaChodesh. The permanent calendar wasn't established until later. It didn't fall away after the temple was destroyed. We still used to accept Eidim for Kiddush HaChodesh even after the Chorban. So, so you re-established the fact that the witnesses could come until all the way until the end of the day, and then for the people who were in, well, I suppose Yavne at that time, because he's now, that it was after the destruction that the Sanhedrin
Right.
moved to Yavne. Um, so they would say, okay, in Yavne we know that there's no that today was Rosh Hashanah and tomorrow is not.
So,
Amar Rabbi Shabin Karcha, and another thing that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai established, Afilu Rosh based in Bechol Makom, even if the Rosh based in is away traveling or whatever, Shelo yu ha'edim holchin el lemakom havad. The Edim don't have to worry about where the Rosh based in is. They have to just go to the place where the Sanhedrin sits. I'm not sure what the alternative was that they would have to try and find out where the based in was traveling to. But at any rate, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai established a precedent that he wasn't present at one point when there was when Adam came to establish Rosh Chodesh, and they established Rosh Chodesh, and he said Shkoyach, well done, that was the right thing to do.
okay.
Okay. Um.
Say the
Okay.
brachas.
Mishnah Hay. Say the brachas. So, what are the brachas on Rosh Hashanah that we're talking about in the Musaf Amidah now? Okay, Omer Avos Gvuras Kedushas Hashem. So the normal first three brachas of Amidah, Avos bracha Gvuras and Kedushas Hashem, but Kolel Malchios Imahen, and the psukim that relate to Malchios must be included in the last bracha of Kedushas Hashem. In other words, Hamelech Hakadosh. It
Mhm.
says this is the Tanna Kama. Ve'eino tokea, but we don't blow the shofar after the first after the Hamelech Hakadosh. Okay, then after that we say Kedushas Hayom. So all of the brachas relating to the Kedushas Hayom of Rosh Hashanah, and then we blow shofar. Zichronos v'tzokea. We say the psukim relating to Zichronos and blow the shofar. Shofaros v'tzokea. V'omer avoda v'hoda birkas kohanim, and then we do the regular three concluding brachas of Retzei, Modim, and birkas kohanim and Sim Shalom. This is the words of Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. Amar lo Rabbi Akiva says, Im eino tokeh lemalchios lama umazkir. What the whole thing is that the Tekias
Right.
Shofar is related to the Malchios, Zichronos, and Shofaros. Okay, so he says I don't understand why you would want to include that in Kedushas Hashem. Ela Omer Avos Gvuras Kedushas Hashem. So we do the first three brachas. Okay, and Kolel Malchios im Kedushas Hayom, and the psukim related to Malchios are included after we start with Kedusha Sayyom, all the things that relate to Rosh Hashanah itself. And then you blow shofar. Zichronos v'tokeh, shofaros v'tokeh, and after each section of shofaros and zichronos and shofaros, we blow shofar. V'omer avoda hoda ubirkas kohanim, and then we conclude the Amidah as usual with Ritzei, Modim, and Birkas Kohanim and Sim Shalom. And that is, of course, the halacha that we follow.
Right.
And Pochas in Me'eser Malchios, we have no fewer than 10 psukim in that relates to Malchios. Okay, our pattern in the Amidah is we take 3 from Chumash, 3 from Tehillim, and 3 from Nach. Okay, from Nevi'im, more specifically. Okay, and similarly goes Asara Zichronos me Asara Shofaros. So we have actually I noticed in a while back that actually one of the sections, I think it is in Shofaros, has got four sections from Tehillim, which I'm not sure why, but nonetheless it got 4 sections, four quotes from Tehillim. Anyway, be that as it may, you're not allowed to have less than that. So that's what the Mishnah is telling us. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri Omer, Im Amar Shalosh Shalosh Mikulan Yatza. He says it's good enough if you have 3 psukim in each section. Okay, but it doesn't matter because nowadays we have a fixed machzor that's got all the psukim for us. So kachazeh. Ein mazkirin zichron malchus v'shofar shel puranus. We do not mention the zichron malchus. What does it mean? V'shofar shel puranus. In other words, in Malchios, if let's say the pasuk is im lo biyad chazaka v'zera natiyah uv'chema shfucha im lo chaleichem. So there's a pasuk from Yechezkel which does mention Malchus and it mentions shofar. So that's a Malchios. V'zichronos v'yizkor ki basar hema. These are all, they've got a negative kind of connotation. So even though you're mentioning them and they come from Tanakh and all the qualifications, but they're not the sort of things that we really want to mention on Rosh Hashanah. We want to mention things in a positive light, not in a negative light. Right. So that's what the Mishnah is telling us. You don't mention the negative ones. Maschil b'Torah or mashlim b'Navi. You start with Torah, in other words, the Chumash, and Mashlim B'Navi, and you finish with what's in the Naviim and with Tehillim in the middle. Rabbi Yossi Omer Im Hishlim B'Torah Yatza, and he says if you finish off with the Torah Yotze, and as a matter of fact, that is what we do. We do 3-3-1 is our pattern. Usually we have 3 psukim from Torah and 3 from Tehillim, 3 from Nevi'im, and then summarize again with 1 back from the Chumash. Okay, tomorrow we're going to finish Rosh Hashanah, and on Wednesday we start Tainus.
You finish Rosh Hashanah tomorrow? Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We are now Aleph Vav. It happened that more than 40 pairs of witnesses passed on their way to Bezdin, and Rekiva detained them in Lod. Rabbi Gamil sent him the following message: if you detain the public, you are placing a stumbling block in their path for the future. A father and a son who saw the new moon should go to Bezdin, not that they can be paired together witnesses, but so that the one of them is disqualified, the second may be paired with another. Red Shimon says the father and son and all relatives are eligible for testimony about the new moon. Said Rabbi Yossi, it happened that Tovia, the physician, saw the new moon in Yerushalayim, he, his son, and his freed slave, and the Kohanim accepted him and his son and disqualified the slave. But when they came before the Bezdin, they accepted him and his slave and disqualified his son. Okay. You finished with Rosh Hashanah.
One more there. We need to do Ches.
Following are ineligible as witnesses: a dice player, ushers, pigeon flyers, dealers, and 70 approaches and slaves. This is the rule. Any testimony for which a woman is ineligible, they too are ineligible for it. We're finishing Rosh Hashanah tomorrow with the time, but we still continue where we are right now.
Yeah.
We're finishing. We're doing the
awesome.
Okay. Let me see. Okay. Okay, and we have Aleph Yud Aleph. If one makes a sukkah like a conical hut, or he leaned against the wall, Reb Eliezer invalidates it since it has no roof, but can come and declare it valid. A large reed mat, if it made to lie upon, is susceptible to combination, and we may not use it for skak. If for shade, we may use it for skak, and it may not be susceptible to contamination. From Eliot, it says whether the mat is small or large, if you made it to lie upon, it's susceptible to contamination, and we may not use it as skak. If for skak, we may use it for skak, and it's not susceptible to contamination. One who sleeps under the bed in the sukkah has not fulfilled his obligation to sleep in the sukkah. Rabbi Yehuda said, we regularly sleep under the bed in the presence of elders, and they said nothing to us. Rabbi Shimon said there is a case of Tavi, Rabbi Gamil's slave, who used to sleep under the bed. Rabbi Gamil said to the elders, have you observed my slave Tavi? He is a scholar and knows that Gentile slaves are exempt from the obligation of sukkah. That is why he sleeps under the bed. And incidentally, we deduce that one who sleeps under the bed does not fulfill his obligation to sleep in the sukkah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we are on to
wait, no, there's one more.
One more. Okay.
More, yeah.
One supports a sukkah on the legs of a bed, it is valid. Rabbi Yehuda says if one cannot stand by itself, it is invalid. There's a rain sukkah or one whose shade area is greater than the sunlight. A sunlight area is valid. If the sukkah is like thickly covered like a house, even though the stairs cannot be seen from inside, it is valid. And let's change this thing.
Okay, Erevin.
Okay, hey Gimel. Similarly, three villages form a triangle. If they are 141 and a third cubits between the two outer ones, the middle one causes all three of them to become as one. We may not measure except with a 50 cubit rope, either shorter or longer. One may not measure except with a rope opposite his heart. If he was measuring and reached a valley or a mound, he should span it and return to his measuring. If he reached the mountain, he should span it and return to his measuring, provided he does not go out of the chum. If he is unable to span it, regarding this, Rav Dosi Bariani said, stated in Meir's name, I have heard that we pierce mountains. We may not accept measurements except from an expert. If he extended the chum at one point and shortened it at another, the extended chum is followed. If one extended while another shortened it, that one who extended is followed. Even a male slave and a female slave is believed to say, here is a sukkah Sabbath chum, for the sages did not say this law to be stringent, but rather to be lenient.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Okay, bad. Okay. One may not give the poor from the threshing floor less than half a cob of wheat and a cob of barley. Rabbi Meir says half a cob and a half of spelt and a cob of dried figs or manna of fig cake. Rabbi Akiva says half a log of wine. Rabbi Akiva says 1/4 of oil. Rabbi Akiva says 1/8, and any other produce. Rabbi Shaul says sufficient to sell them and purchase it with food for 2 meals. The measure applies to the priests, Levites, and Israelites. If he wanted to save, he takes half and gives half. If he has a smaller quantity, he places it before them, and they divide it among themselves. They do not give a poor person who wanders from place to place less than a loaf-worth of a punyan, when 4 swords cost a seller. If he stays overnight, they give him a night's outfit. If he stays over the Shabbos, they give him food for 3 meals. If he has food for 2 meals, he may not take from the tamchu. Food for 14 meals, and we may not take from the kupa. And the kupa is collected by 2 and is distributed by 3. Okay, I got through with this time. I got through it.
Elim.
Right pages.
Hmm?
I turned the right pages this time.
Yeah.
Okay, one and repeat. An oven in the beginning is 4 handbreadths and its remnants of 4 handbreadths. These are the words of Meir. But we come and say, when do these apply? In the case of a large oven, in the case of a small oven, its beginning is the smallest amount and its remnants are the majority of it. The above applies from the time its manufacture is complete. What is considered the completion of its manufacture? From when one heats it enough to make sponge cake in it. Rabbi Yehuda says when one heats a new oven enough to bake sponge cake in an old oven. A stove, its beginning is 3 fingerbreadths and its remnants are 3 fingerbreadths from the time its manufacture is completed. What is considered the completion of its manufacture? From when one heats enough food to cook on it the most easily cooked egg, which has been beaten and put into a stew pot. A kupak, if one made for baking, is measured as that of an oven. If one made it for cooking, is measured as that of a stove. A stove that just through 1 handbreadth from the oven and 3 fingerbreadths from a stove is a connection. A stone that cut just out of kupak, if one made it for baking, the measure is that of an oven. If one made it for cooking, is measured that of a stove. The Yehuda said they only said 1 handbreadth between the oven and the wall. If two ovens were adjacent to each oven, one handbreadth is allotted to one oven, one handbreadth to the other oven, and the remainder is tahor. The rim of a stove is tahor, the closure of an oven. The enclosure of an oven, when it is tahor, a handbreadth of 10, 4 handbreadths high, it contracts tumor via contact and aspect, but less than this is tahor. If it was connected to the oven, even on 3 stones, it is tameh. A flask receptacle and the spice receptacle and the lamp receptacle of the stove contracts tumor via contact when not do not contact tumor area airspace. These are the words of Meir, Rabbi Shmuel, Ruzem, tahor. Okay. And, the bus. Okay. He has not sold in a pit nor in the cistern, even if he wrote in a contract the depth and the height, he must buy back for himself a right of way. These are the words of Rabbi Akiva, and come and say, however, he need not buy back a right of way. Rabbi Akiva, however, agrees that when he said to him, except for these, he need not buy back for himself a right of way. If he sold them to another, Rabbi Akiva says he need not buy a right of way, and come and say, the sages say he must buy a right of way. One who sells a house who has sold the door, but not the key. If he has sold the fixed mortar, but not the portable one, he has sold the pedestal of the mill, but not the flour catch. For the oven or the stove, what he said to him, all it is in that is in it are sold. One who sells a courtyard has sold the houses, pit, ditches, and vaults, but not the movables. When he said to him, it and all that is in it, they are all sold. In any case, he has not sold the bathhouse or the olive press which are in it. And Eliezer says, one who sells a courtyard has sold only the airspace of the courtyard. Okay,
Okay.
great. Have a great day. Enjoy
Thank
the
you
sun that's
too.
coming out now.
Yeah.
And I'll see you tomorrow, Mr. Shem. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye. Bye.